And hello everyone, welcome to USFC 167. Once more, I'll be hosting the USFCs going forward because Tao is taking a break. And yeah, I'll get into commentators chat and we'll get started right away. I don't think we'll get Bruce Buffer for the foreseeable future. That's Piper doing the announcements, so I'll be taking care of that, but that's all good when we get to the champion fight. This is the fight card, so you guys can see the order. So I'll be fighting Pico to start us off. Then we got Radley against Captain Adler, a Beer against Oak, Info against Swaffle, Squirrel against Clemino. Luck against Maestro. The champion fight will be happening in the middle of the event, not right at the end. Tack back against Beanslayer, Just That Guy against First Saber, and Dauntless against Pikachu. Feel free to join Pico if you can already hear me. If not, I will just send you a Parsec link. Pico usually has to fight first, so I thought I'd place him first, and I thought matchup against him would be perfect based on the roster that we have for this event. Plus, we're both North Americans, so it helps that way as well. Me being Canadian, Pico is in California. And yeah, if anyone wants to join me in the commentator's cabin, you're also absolutely welcome, but it's not mandatory. And while we're waiting for Pico to join up, I think we'll just get the game started. Names are already set. Should be good to go there. And for those who are new to the event, because I'm sure we got a lot of new faces based on the roster, it's pretty simple. You just come up when you're called to fight, you fight a best of 5 fight, and then you're done. You don't have to stick around any longer if you don't want to. You obviously are free to watch the stream, but there's no other obligation beyond that. And basically the goal is to get a 3-win streak over the course of some weeks, and then maybe you'll get the opportunity to fight the current champion, that being Luck. Nice. Maybe if you want, let me know. You absolutely can help out with announcing the fight if you think you can do a good job with that. I'm absolutely open to that. That will be down the road, but all right, where is Pico? Here he is, beautiful. And yes, Pico gets the left side, I'll be on the right to start us off. Now, everything looks good settings-wise. I think we're pretty much good to go. Haven't messed with anything. So it's 7 flags, best of 5. 7 flags per round. Does that make more sense? You'll see when we fight how it works. And I'm afraid there won't be any commentary. Because I like to be quiet when I fight, but it is what it is. And as you saw correctly, I used Isabella. I'm trying to experiment with her a bit because I think in the current meta she's crucial to learn at the very least, especially against block people like that. But Barabash is my main, so against somebody as good as Pico, it might not work to experiment with other characters. Okay, well done. Apparently there's no sound, people are saying. I'm hearing sound, but maybe there's something going wrong. So I'll look at that. Sorry guys, I can't respond when I'm in the middle of a fight, so I can do it now, but I think I see the problem. I'll fix that real quick. Okay, should come through now. We'll switch sides. And Pico's about to win if I'm not careful. He is ahead at the moment. Okay. Jan Mir. Alright, let's see what Pico can do if Jan. Very unlucky moment for Pico there. That's a new force field bug that I've noticed, but it is what it is. That's the game we play. Um, I was still ahead by flags though, so. Okay, this is the last round. We've come full circle. It is 2-2. Yeah, that's actually a nice choice. All right, good luck. All right, good fight, Pico. Really made me sweat there all those rounds. Maybe Yazlik wasn't the pick today, but Pico still put on a masterful performance with multiple characters, so props to him for that. Very, very tough one. Oak said he might be late. Emphasis on might. We actually don't know, but thank you for letting me know. Yeah, very technical fight, that one too. Okay, let's look at the fight card. The next one should be, yeah, it's Radzig against Captain Adler. Those two needed to fight pretty much right away as well, so. Let's get them in. Captain Adler's already here. Got it. Let me know. Oh, Radzig probably has to. Oh, you just woke up. Okay. Yeah, he told me he was dealing with sleep deprivation, so that's fine. No, it's not really something you can fight with forever, so I get it. A beer against Oak right after this one, by the way. Oak again said he might not be available right when it is supposed to start, but we can always move on to Info against Slothful in that case. So Info and Slothful try to be ready as well, just in case. If anybody needs keyboard, let me know. I don't think anyone does, but just let me know. I'll enter the scores in. And we'll go from there. Okay, Radzig will get the left to start us off. Whoops, it's not Pico, it's Captain Adler. You can see I'm probably slightly sleep deprived as well. I'm not as bad, I don't think, as Radzig, because I'm not in the dozing off phase at all. It's just, you know, couple hours too little of sleep from what I would like. So I understand how that feels. Radzig needs keyboard, which is fine. Should be able to select now. If not, we can just back out. Nice. Nobody's reported any lag so far. It's looked pretty good so far. The game isn't having any issues either as far as FPS, so that's good. Running smooth like butter, as it should. And it's a Marie Mirachi to start us off. Although Marie is the weakest character in the game, I have to say the mirrors between Marie players do look awesome. So it definitely doesn't change the fact that there's a skill to be had with using Marie, and that many of her moves do look awesome. Even as somebody who prefers cutting, I really do not like rapiers or stabbing compared to sabers, but or even longswords. I love longswords a lot more, but there's still a certain elegance that rapiers have that some other swords don't have. And Radzig so far seems more precise with his input. He is getting some nice combos. The triangle running Marie right through the arm, an excellent combination to finish it off. One thing Marie can struggle with is finishing the fight right then and there with a single attack. Sometimes she will do that, other times her damage will be lacking, but Radzig still seems to do a good job of comboing off of the initial hit so that a kill, at least against another Marie, is guaranteed. Yeah, because she's not very reliable, she's easy to blade beat, and there's other characters that have better ranged options, like Martha. Or even Jan, as we saw. Jan is very, very good at the range game. The AI is not very good against thrusting characters, so people often have a misconception that Marie is the strongest, but she is very, very far from the strongest. She's actually the weakest. If your opponent is not another Marie, the solution to her stabs is very simple. Especially if you consider Isabella, Barbash, Jan, like these sorts of characters immediately walk all over Marie. But it's not to say she can't win, just that a bunch of her tools are just completely nullified. At the pro level. Samuel is a pretty solid character. That's a good question. I don't think he's top tier, but he's pretty close. He's like A tier for me. I'll say mid to low A tier for Samuel. Not S tier. The solution, you just blade beat her blade. Even in neutral guard, she will struggle to block. And you can also long guard her stabs and essentially nullify them completely that way. And if you're Barbash, for example, the solution then is pretty simple. You just long guard, block the thrust, and then chop to the head. S tier characters are characters like Isabella, Jan, and Alexander. Or Dennis, as many of you might know him as. His name was changed to Dennis. Barbash is debatable. I'd say he's actually high A tier, not S tier as such. But Barbash is pretty high up there as well. I think he's a bit weaker though than the other three top characters. Yazik is also probably top of A tier, played well. But no, Samuel is a good pick as well. He might not be among the top characters, but he's got a good guard. He's got a good fundamental game. So he's definitely not a bad character to pick up. He can still be a challenge for anybody, really. Yendrik's a great character, but as far as like his characterization and his offensive power, but he really falls short defensively. He's a bit of a wild card. I tend to say he's around the same level as some of the other weaker characters, but he still has that wild card potential where if an opponent is thrown off balance by his attacks, he can seem very, very powerful and essentially unstoppable. So he's a glass cannon. So not top tier at all, but a wild card for sure. You definitely have to respect the things that he does do well. If you don't, he will walk all over you. Ultimate Sword Fighting Championship. That's what USFC stands for. Based on the UFC, that's why the fight card is kind of reversed. We're doing the bottom up, starting from the bottom and going up. That's how they do it in the UFC. I did not create this event though. That was actually Vinu who did that. You'll see him on the server from time to time, but he's taking a bit of a break from hosting it, as is Tao. But I used to co-host from time to time, help with hosting matches and commentate, so I did not want to see this event die. You can see we've done it for years and years, every week. So it really would have been a shame to put a stop to this event completely. So here we are. Okay, so Radzig won the first fight. I think his knowledge with Marie really helped him out there. He seemed to understand the combos better and how to follow up any sort of hit that he got in the Marie mirror. Radzig also plays quite a bit of Isabella, particularly when Marie doesn't go well. And you can tell, like, as soon as Marie was not used by either of them, they switched characters as soon as they realized the other one was not going to play Marie. That's kind of the state she's in right now. You're basically giving your opponent a win, even if you put a lot of work into her. Which is a shame because she did used to be strong. I would say 2022-ish. She was pretty strong. Is it okay to main one character? That's up to you to decide. Some people at the top level even basically only main one character. They get good with that one character and they use that character no matter what the matchup is. Other people like to have a couple other mains to fall back on. Like you saw, I was using Isabella a little bit. I was using Jan a little bit. Barabash is definitely my main, but I have a couple characters I can fall back on. I would say get 2 characters you're good at, but find one that you really want to develop and get good with. That's really the best way to progress quickly, is if you have that one character you know you can fall back on no matter what, and you know the combos inside and out. And you'll probably switch mains from time to time organically too. Maybe you'll decide, oh, this character has such and such tools, I want to use that character instead. That's normal as well, but I think just find one you really like first, maybe find a second one, and go from there. Radzig is actually doing very well against Tarnowski here. These two players by now are pretty seasoned players. They're a bit newer, relatively speaking, to the server compared to veterans, but Captain Adler especially has put on some great performances in tournaments and is showing. Although Radzig apparently has really been practicing that Isabella, so it's proving to be very tough. Tarnowski, I would say, he's a very powerful character, but he's also very balanced. You can see he hits really hard, but he commits to his attacks, so you actually can punish him. because of his offbeat rhythm. But his offbeat rhythm is also his strength. He can catch you when you least expect it. You think he's done attacking after 2 attacks, for example, but maybe he has a third coming in that'll still land. So his offbeat rhythm with his Dusak is both his biggest weakness and his biggest strength. There's nothing wrong with him, but you do have to play to his strengths. If you don't do that, then you will be punished pretty quickly. Radzig here with a dominant performance of Isabella, and he only needs 1 more to secure the victory. Yeah, if you want to use a rapier character, I would highly recommend Marta. Marta is a lot better than Marie. She just has a better time dealing with blade beats, and a better time dealing with stuff like long guard and stuff like that. More HP, more precise thrusts as well. So, all in all, better than Marie. There was a time when Marie was probably better than her, to be honest, but that time is not now. Nice sidestep there. Captain Adler with the first flag in the not the Marie mirror, the Isabella mirror. That's up to you to decide again. You're gonna have some people who prefer keyboard and some people who prefer controller. I personally would prefer controller. I think it's more comfortable, like you said. But some people prefer keyboard. I think it's all about what you're used to and what games you have played previously, that type of thing. But both are perfectly usable. I'd say the game is probably more so designed for controller than keyboard, but there's nothing stopping you from using keyboard, especially on Parsec. You just gotta keep in mind that your controls will be flipped a little bit if you switch sides on the keyboard. That's probably the biggest learning curve, but I mean, otherwise they're both just fine. They both go for a grapple here. Nice exchange. See if I can commentate the fight here, as there's quite an exchange, but Radzig slipping in the upcut. I found the upcut in the Isabella mirror is pretty useful. It's a good single tempo, it's a good way to hit the hand. And one reason Isabella is so powerful is because she likes to fight for the center. So you'll see when the 2 Isabellas are playing, that's basically what they're playing for. They're playing for control of the center, as you'd expect in a longsword fight. And whoever wins control tends to win the fight. Not to say the game is a perfect one-to-one to reality, of course. There's a lot of issues with it currently, but since we've switched dynamic muscles off, you can see the fights are much, much cleaner than they are on the default version with dynamic muscles on. So we are getting some pretty clean fights so far. I'm pretty pleased with this. There's still some bugs, but definitely a better state with them off. But a nice hit there from Captain Adler. It was a slight hit, though, not a perfectly clean hit. Otherwise, that might have killed right then and there. That was a pretty powerful cut. Sidestep there, but the blade took the sting out of that attack, so it wasn't quite able to kill. That's something worth keeping in mind. If you do hit the blade first, the game simulates the fact that some of the force is dissipated, so it might not kill right off the bat, but it'll still do some damage. Got 15 people watching so far. It's pretty nice for my channel. Very small channel. Good exchange again. Ooh, probably wanted the high guard cut. It's very easy to accidentally throw the Zwei. Not the Zwei, the Zwerg cow. of Isabella from high guard. The input is awkward. I actually did that in my fight against Pico at one point. I sort of stood there awkwardly after throwing those work because I didn't expect to throw it. Yeah, Radzig is just on fire. Definitely potential champion material, I would say. As he's looking to close the win. And Captain Adler is a tough opponent. To get such a decisive victory against him is not easy. Captain Adler has beaten veterans like me before, too. And Oak, in fact, as well. He's defeated Oak before. Using long guard there. There's Iron Gate guard trying to bait him in, but then instead goes for an attack. Radzig again with Iron Gate. I love using that sometimes, low guard as a bait, because yes, you're providing an opening, but that's kind of the point. This time, Captain Adler was able to call it out before Radzig could respond, but ideally you would respond first when your opponent tries to seize the opening and punish that from the low guard. That is the neat thing about a lot of guards and real swordsmanship is you're never completely covered no matter what position you assume, so it might seem kind of crazy to leave an opening like that, but you're always leaving some kind of opening somewhere. It's a deliberate provocation. But anyway, Radzig still got it. And pretty decisively, too. Let's see if Abir and Oak are ready. We're going to do their fight next. GG's, by the way, guys. That was a nice fight. So Radzig had the sleep deprivation buff. It's a thing where a good player is super tired, but still somehow plays like they're on crack or something. Got that second wind, I guess. Amazing how your body can do that, but you will pay for it later when that happens. Adrenaline helps, yes. Yes. Alright, Oak is not able to fight at the moment. We're gonna have to postpone that one. I'll just ask Oak to ping me when he's available, and that's good. Okay, info against Slothful now. Beer is a newer member of the community, but he has since proven to be a seasoned player over the months, and now he is taking on the best and winning at times. That's why I put a beer against such a strong opponent as Oakenlicks, but we'll have to postpone that fight. I'm pretty excited for that one, though. That'll be an epic saber duel, which I think is peak Hellish Quart. Saber fights are the best, in my opinion. The exchanges that you can get and the fast pace of them is the most fun you can have in the game. Sometimes longsword fights can be fun, but sometimes they can get a little bit stale as well if the two fighters sort of fall back on a handful of moves. Saber feels a lot more dynamic, at least to me. But some people prefer longsword too, so it all depends on what you like. Info is here, we're just waiting for Slothful. Waiting on Slothful. If he doesn't show up right away, that's still fine. We can also skip that fight and move on. Come back to it later. They'll give him a minute or two to join. If not, we'll just move up the fight card to Clemino against Squirrel. Yeah, I'll give him like 2 minutes or so starting now. But again, if he shows up later, we'll just do it later. So it's not the end of the world. I just don't want to wait too long. Keep this event running smoothly as possible. And worst case scenario, if Slothful is away, we'll still give Info a fight. So Info has nothing to worry about there. Okay, let's have a look at the... Yeah, some people will have an easier time controlling, doing precise inputs of keyboard compared to controller. The counter argument for controller players who prefer controller is that it's more comfortable and the movement is easier on controller. But it all depends on what you're used to. Dauntless is cooking brunch. Nice. Yeah, I'll try not to call you up so soon, but we will see. I don't see Slothful, so I think we're gonna be moving on to Clumino against Squirrel. I put you pretty far in the back as you see there, Dauntless, so I don't think you're gonna get called up, but that would be hilarious if you were. Okay, we're gonna just move on for now. Clumino made a nice debut last USFC, but he's still newer, so I decided to put him against another new opponent. Also, I spelled squirrel incorrectly on the fight card. I fixed that. Nice. Wait, so Vanguard, that's you, right, Clemino? Yeah, that's you. Awesome. Okay. Squirrel will be on the left, Clemino on the right. Just let me know if you guys need keyboard. And I think Swaffle is here, so we'll be able to come back to that fight. Skip? Okay. Yeah, Swaffle is running into some internet issues, which is all good. That's outside of your control. There's a lot of snowstorms going on, and especially North America. I don't know about Europe, but we're getting a lot of snow lately. Your keyboard? Cool. Is Squirrel a keyboard as well? Looks like it. All right. From his profile, so I'll give him keyboard as well. Try again. I just have to manually give you keyboard control for it to work is all. No, only the host needs to have the game open. You don't have to open it yourself. Alright, so worst case scenario info. I know Swaffle was not available, but we can still get you a fight. Maybe somebody will fight twice, maybe somebody will join later. But it looks like after this fight, we'll be heading straight to the championship fight. Alright, make your selections. Gideon against Samuel. I like that fight. Quite different with their saber styles, but I think this is a matchup that can go either way. I don't think anybody especially dominates this one.
Yeah.
Thrust there, punch. Very messy fight to start us off, but Squirrel has scored 2 hits. There's another hit to the back of the leg there, the false edge cut. You don't see that very often, the sky hook from Samuel. Gideon has quite a bit of HP, but if you carve him up with a sword, he will still be brought down. And there's a cut to the hand. The sword arm and the head still remain very effective targets to hit Gideon with, and you can see you can stun lock him too. Even if your blow is not quite killing him, it's still a bad time for Gideon. So you want to avoid being hit where possible. Samuel's wrist broke there. It looked kind of funny. In fact, it's broken right now if you look closely. It's broken by default oftentimes, except for his death animation. Funny enough, it fixes itself when he's dying. But when he sort of holds the sword awkwardly, you can see his wrist is just bent in the most awkward way. Makes me cringe, actually, thinking of how the wrist is bending that way. Back Y there doesn't quite land, and Clemino with a nice kill. Gideon's style is pretty fascinating because it's based on the Polish cross-cutting style. That's why he sort of cuts back and forth like that across his body. He does leave openings, but in doing so, he's also preparing some powerful cuts. And you also have to keep in mind he doesn't have much hand protection, so what he's doing by tucking his hand away is he's actually keeping his hand safe. So it has that function as well. Samuel, on the other hand, holds his sword out because he has more hand protection and his blade is balanced differently. So you can get away with that more than Gideon can. But what Gideon can do is, if he manages his measure properly, he can intercept your attacks with attacks of his own. And sort of dominate the middle that way, or the flank, by sidestepping. So a very positional character. If you're not careful about sort of just walking in, you can be sniped, but if you manage the distance really well, you can do stuff like that. You can pop the hand off when your opponent tries something. But he is kind of tricky to use compared to Samuel because of his inherent weaknesses. Just barely spaced out that stab, and nice whiff punish there by Clemino. Trying to snipe the arm there, it's a double. Actually a very even fight. Clemino sort of has a hill to climb, but he's doing a good job of adjusting to his character and making a comeback. I haven't really seen him play Gideon before, but so far I'm pretty impressed with how well he's doing and how well he's adapting to the matchup. Gideon with his evil laugh there. Love that. He just has some weaknesses. He hits hard, he has good HP, but his exposed guard and sometimes his moves are a little bit questionable. Make him like B tier. He's far from the weakest character, but a lot of characters do better at range, and there's actually a couple characters I think that do better at close range too. If you get good with Gideon though, you can basically take any character on. It's just that it's a bit of an uphill battle in some matchups compared to others. There's definitely more of a more skill that's needed to make that happen, though. Compared to, say, Samuel, or even like characters like Jan or Yazuk, who are a bit easier to work with. Isabella especially, pretty easy to work with. But Clemino is still doing a great job, actually, and he's about to win if Squirrel is not careful. Thrust attempt there, but whiffed it. Gotta be a little bit careful whiffing that lunge because it does have a fair bit of recovery. Ooh, the stab hit the head but sort of bounced off the skull. Rocked the head but did not kill. I think Samuel was too close, so what happened was he couldn't get proper structure in his stab, so it didn't count for full damage there. That's why you gotta be a little bit careful with the lunge. Up close, you can test it yourself too. Try lunging like that with a stick in punching range and you'll know what I mean by that. You're just not transferring the full amount of pressure and force that you're looking for. But Clemino still takes it. And it's 1-0 for Clemino. Just gonna switch the names, guys, and then you can switch sides. Go ahead. Hold. I don't know what button it is on keyboard. I think I can do it for you guys. Okay, so it's numpad 3. That's how you switch sides. Clemino is on the left now, and Squirrel is on the right. It is best of 5, so you're not done yet. Is Squirrel still in the parsec? It's not over yet, buddy. He's saying ha, GG, but it's not over yet. You still have some rounds. Oh, nice. You're just saying GG after the round. Cool. Go ahead and take the right side then. Or do we need to back out? I'll try backing out. The sides don't typically matter that much, especially for new players, they might be more comfortable on the left, so we like switching them just to maintain fairness, especially best of 5. It's a nice way to do it because then everybody gets a chance to fight on the side they're theoretically most comfortable with, but once you get good at the game, I don't think it matters that much. Your keyboard is different. It's Azurti. I don't know. I don't know what the binds would be on a keyboard like that, I'm afraid. I don't play with keyboard to begin with, so. Looks like you figured it out, but. Nice, okay. Yeah, that's the other thing I meant when I said Kubel didn't really make this game with keyboard in mind. You can use keyboard, like the keybinds are there, but it's definitely designed with controller controls in mind, more so. But keyboard, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it once you figure out the controls. There's also keyboard splitters. Wait, okay, hold on. Clemino is on the right, it looks like. Yeah, I figured he was on the right because I saw Laszlo being picked. I was like, why would Squirrel pick Laszlo? And also, Clemino typically plays Laszlo as well as I think Yazuk is what I saw, so that's the other reason. Yeah, so Squirrel, make sure you're taking the right side. And you can, I guess you would have to go back to Laszlo, because that's the pick you made, if that was deliberate. Uh, take your controller. I thought you said you were on keyboard. You should still have controller either way, but uh, yeah, so he's taking the left side because he's on the left. Swirl. Yeah, I know you're here, but you're not on the left side. You're on the right side. Oh, Swirl is having some internet problems, it seems. Says his network is slow. What bind? I don't know on that keyboard. That's a keyboard I have never used before, so. But it's somewhere on the numpad, like you should be able to just select from there. I would think. You just use the numpad and your arrow keys. You don't have a numpad. Okay, I guess you'll have to fight from the left side, but contact Oakenlicks because he knows of I don't think it's a keyboard splitter as such, but he knows of a program that'll help you with that. So you can have your own custom keybinds no matter what side you're on. And that would fix that problem and allow you to play from both sides. Oh, he left. Yeah. Yeah, join back. There's no reason to leave. We can just have you fight from the left side. But in the future, get that sorted out, just so that we can switch sides. All right, go ahead. Make your selections. Okay, I'll be right back. If I'm not back in time, guys, just continue on fighting. Don't press rematch though. Make sure you go back to the character select screen just in case people want to switch characters.
Moje. Moje. Moje.
Okay, I'm back. Looks like that was a pretty close fight, but Clemino lost. It is 1-1. Nice Yazik there by Squirrel. I watched some of that fight. What's going on though? Looks like they're both frozen for some reason. Wait, Clemino was on the left? I don't understand. I thought you were saying you couldn't get the right side to work. So I told you to fight on the left. Huh. Okay. Well, I guess the names are correct now anyway, but... Anyway, continue. Yeah, he obviously did. It was pretty close there. Clemino he's going back to Samuel actually to fight against Squirrel Samuel. I'll check if Oak pinged me yet about being here. If he is not here, it'll be fine. It's just gonna mean that we'll have to go straight to the champion fight, which I'm sure Luck and Maestro will be eager to begin. Double. Nice upcut there. Clemino showing some great prowess with the saber, dominating the match as far as the score. He's up 2-0, needs one more. Glad we got both sides working in the end. So Clemino is on the left, contrary to what the names were saying. exchange of attacks there. Snipes the hand. Nicely done. Clemino's doing a good job of dipping under and hitting the hand. Looking to finish this off here. The stab calling out the feint. Clemino tried to feint and then dip under and hit the hand, but Squirrel just said, I'm going to stab you then. Completely calling that attack out. Glad that there's not like any lag going on or anything like that too. I know Clemino's from the Philippines, so it's actually really impressive that he's fighting this well. What? You didn't switch sides? I'm confused now. Because you said you were just on the right. Did you not switch sides at all, or what happened? Okay, I don't know who's who anymore, because they're not even switching sides, it looks like. Okay. Well, in the future, make sure you switch sides. Nice exchange there. Squirrel actually looking to finish this fight, but we've seen Clemino come back before, so it's not over. Looking to punish that stab, but good dash back by Squirrel. Back wide, nicely done. Clemino playing like his life depends on it. Doesn't want to give this round away. Good stab. Calling out the feint again. That's the problem with the feint, is it can deceive your opponent, but it's really slow. This particular feint is. So it kind of announces your intention. That's why I prefer manual feints in this game for the most part, where you cancel the attack manually instead of doing a predetermined feint move. But sometimes they have their place. Some characters do it better, like Gideon. And now it's down to the wire. Clemino actually gets killed just now. Doesn't quite make the comeback, but very close. Okay, make sure you switch. Swirl should be on the left. Should be on the left, but I don't know. Cool. Alright. Clemino going back to Gideon. We're seeing a lot of Saber characters this match, actually. Yazuk against Gideon now, which is an interesting matchup. I tend to give the advantage to Yazuk here, but it's not impossible for Gideon if he plays it well. Clemino just trying to force the engagement there, but that results in a double. Almost got it, but Squirrel was able to return a hit. There's one for Clemino. Nice strike there. Double. And a nice upcut sniping the hand there. Very good distance management by Clemino. Paying dividends here. Punch. Yeah, it makes it messy, but sometimes with Gideon you gotta do that. So it actually made a lot of sense, and it worked. Doing a great job of sniping the hand when Squirrel tries something. Usually Yazuk's guard is very good against these types of moves, but At some point, you do have to attack, and Clemino does a good job of keeping initiative on his side. This time, Squirrel is able to get a really quick parry riposte, but still below in points right now. Upcut takes the hand right off. And Clemino needs just 2 more to dominate this round and win the whole thing. It is currently 2-1 in favor of Clemino as far as the overall score. And 1 more flag needed. A lot of pressure on Squirrel. Good hit by Squirrel, not quite killing as there is a bit of a flick cut, but it still could matter. Taking any hit in this game is bad for your stamina, not just your HP. Forced to back off there as Clemino tries to force the engagement and finish it right off here. Definitely very intense here for Squirrel. The thrust there somehow bounces off the body. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but at best it would have been a trade, so it still would have been pretty bad for Gideon, I would say. Probably a double, but no, Squirrel this time gets the point. Yeah, I can't really explain what happened there, but Clemino still gets it. It didn't change anything. It is what it is. And nicely played by Clemino. Also a good effort by Squirrel, making his debut in the USFC. Now we have luck against Maestro Cake, as I've not heard anything from Oak yet. The championship fight. I'm assuming Luck wants the left side, but let me know. The champion always gets to select the side. Beautiful. Luck is here. Maestro is here. And now we're on to the main event of the evening. Tao said he'll spectate the fight between them, which will be interesting. I think he's playing 2 strikes right now, but he will be watching. Luck of Isabella, Maestro of Isabella. I think that's what they agreed to. They agreed to a longsword fight with Isabella to prove who the real horseman is. Luck is putting his title on the line. Isabella, who has just been tearing shit up lately, both in regular tournaments and in the USFC, he has proven nigh unbeatable. And he looks to hang on to this title again. But not only is he fighting for the USFC championship title, let it be known that he is also fighting for the Horseman title. He said he'll put that title on the line for this fight, and if he loses the fight, he will give that title up to Maestro Cake. Maestro on the right, challenging Luck for the USFC championship title, and a self-proclaimed horseman, but he has to prove it here against Luck. Maestro also a veteran of the server, although he's a bit off his game lately. I don't know, he's managed to win some fights, but we'll see what he can do. Anyway, fight dirty, fight clean, you guys can begin. Really excited. This is a bit of a grudge match, too. So let's see what these 2 players can do. Both from North America, by the way. Specifically, these 2 are from the US. So since I'm from Canada, the ping should be very good for both of them. And Luck with an upcut there. Maestro was able to score the first flag, but Luck has scored one right back. Luck is also a really fast player in general, probably the fastest on the server, so Maestro being a bit of an older man compared to Luck, will have to fight against that. He's doing great so far, though, just bringing the pressure against Luck in that exchange, and actually winning the exchange, I would say, although not managing to kill. But he left an opening by going for that low thrust to the head, and Luck took it instantly. Getting a lead. Maestro initiating the fight. Nice exchange between these two, and Maestro does the nice upcut into thrust there. Although we joke about Maestro being terrible in the USFC, he is a very good player in reality, of course. Luck will have to give it his all. Maestro started with Isabella too, fun fact, so he's playing with possibly his best character. I don't know if he's much of a horseman though, we'll see about that. Exchange between these two, Luck wins it. Maestro putting up a good fight, but Luck just seems to be a step ahead. Despite what the score might say, Luck is still having to work for every flag, but already looking to win this round though, Luck. There's been a fast series of exchanges that Luck rapidly won. Luck needs one more. Upcut, not connecting. Maestro's upcut does connect though. Will we see a comeback? No. No, the commentator's curse has hit Maestro. And Luck just snap cut him right in the head instantly. As Luck often does. He's a master of that particular move. So that combined with his fast reaction time makes it very difficult for Maestro when he leaves an opening like that. Even if it's slight, it doesn't have to be a massive one, but if it's an opening at all, the snap cut is a dangerous move to deal with. There are ways to deal with it, especially preemptively, but you have to be aware of them. Sometimes the upcut or thrusting to the hand can work, or spacing it out and using high guard, but you have to time these perfectly to make them work. If you don't time them perfectly, the snap cut will still punish you, and Luck is very good at melding that snap cut in with his stabs as well. So not only is he throwing the snap cut, but he will stab at your face as well, and then go straight for the snap cut like he tried there, but it didn't quite work out for him as he didn't hit the head. Luck beats the blade aside there, not quite able to follow it up. That high guard cut nearly tagging Maestro with the linger. Threatening an upcut Maestro, and they meet there, clashing swords again. Another clash of swords. Thrust by Luck, sidestep. Nice exchange again by these two. But Maestro forcing a double. And he actually is ahead in flags right now. I have to give Maestro credit. The intensity of this fight has not gone down. But Maestro is starting to make some adjustments. Another exchange, but the linger hits the hand again, and Luck capitalizes on that. Yeah, that can strike Isabella's hand when you least expect it. Luck parries the cut, but that barrage of attacks by Maestro still forcing an attack in, resulting in a double. And that's another double. Sidestep, another double. Thrust attempt, snap cut right after, but Maestro is able to avoid it. Nice exchange again between these two. Maestro with an upcut as the high guard cut comes down, shielding his head. Sidestep there by Luck, but I often find the high guard cut actually beats that, as Luck is finding out. And another double. Ooh, and Maestro with another flag. Perhaps looking to win this round and make it 1-1. Oh, Maestro hit the head, but nothing happened. I think it's because the game registered a block due to it hitting the blade first, but I could have sworn I saw Maestro clip block right on the head, still managing to get a leg cut for his trouble, but not quite able to secure any damage beyond that. And Luck is still able to win that flag. Nice back X by Maestro. Maestro with a little bit of bad luck in a couple of these, but it's not deciding the fight by any means. Maestro is still ahead. Upcut attempt, snap cut by Luck. Both of them doing some feints, and Maestro with a nice counter thrust, and he's looking to win this round, potentially. Make it 1-1. Definitely a convincing lead for Maestro this time around. Another exchange. Love to see it. And it's a trade of cuts. Another exchange. Ooh, Luck is getting tired now. Will Maestro be able to capitalize, though, I wonder? Or will Luck snap cut him in the head? Oh, not quite. They both have taken a hit again, though. Luck goes for the stab, and it actually is Maestro who will snap cut the head. That was beautifully timed. The stab can be a counter to the snap cut if you time it after the snap cut, but the snap cut can also, in turn, be used as a counter to a stab by beating the blade aside. That was beautifully executed. And it is 1-1. Ooh. Kexoid is rooting for Maestro. Let it be known. The legend, the GOAT himself, with Saber, is rooting for Maestro. So Maestro definitely has some support from the people. Exchange now. Maestro with a sidestep, but it is immediately interrupted. Nice. Back and forth between these two, but Maestro winning out. Good exchange once more. Maestro sidestepping, and actually wins the trade there, making it 3-3. Snap cut, then a cut to the head right there by Maestro. Maestro looking to possibly win this round and make it 2-1. That would be pretty huge for him and his chances of getting that Horseman title. Remember that Luck is not just fighting to keep that champion title. He wants to maintain the Izzy Horseman title as well. For those who are unaware, they might be really confused about this title thing. That's a title Isabella mains have given themselves over the years. It's a title of prestige. If you are one of the Horsemen, then you're a powerhouse of a player. So to give that up is a pretty big deal. It's a double. Maestro had his thigh cut in half, but cut to the head. Another exchange. Luck is not able to slip anything in, though. Maestro needing one more to make it 2-1. He's definitely found his rhythm. Goes for a push. Maestro often does that when he's about to win. He'll just dash in for a push, and Luck knows this, so he counters it instantly. And Maestro might just choke this, as two flags back-to-back are scored by Luck. There's some momentum back in Luck's favor. There's a stab to the body, and Maestro needs to lock in here to win that flag. He was leading this fight for a while, but Luck is making a nice comeback. Great punishes on his part. High guard by Maestro is countered, and Luck takes it 2-1 now. Luck is actually the one in the lead despite the progress made by Maestro. That's how quickly it can happen. Suddenly, Luck is just finding something that works and being the fast player that he is. It's very tough to cope with. And it all started from that one failed push attempt that Maestro tried. Just momentum suddenly was back in Luck's favor. You cannot allow Luck to get momentum on you like that with careless pushes or careless attacks. It's tough though because you want to keep pace with them, so you don't want to be too predictable. So I get why Maestro tried it, but against somebody like Luck, it's just not going to work out. Luck is very familiar with Isabella pushes. He used to use them a lot back when they were stronger. Actually still sometimes uses it when the opportunity's there, but very often, as you can see, there isn't one, so Luck knows better than to just throw it like that. It's a very risky maneuver. Good spacing by Luck, exchange, but there's the stab to the face. The stab is actually pretty powerful in this mirror. If you time it right at the right angle, you'll hit the face immediately and get a perfect kill shot. So part of this matchup is not only fighting for the center, but just finding the right opportunity to land a stab to the face. But you gotta use it at the right time because Isabella has these fast cuts that will beat your blade down if you use it at the wrong time. Maestro is back against the wall. Nice pressure by Luck, and he did a great job of pressing the attack at his maximum range, so he's hitting the hand there as Maestro tried a high guard cut to get out of that corner. But Luck and his distance management there serving him well. It's still even though. Maestro managed to get a flag back. There's another flag by Maestro. Maestro is going to hope to capitalize on this advantage instead of throwing it like last time. And this time, unlike the previous tournament, I promise Maestro was not paid to throw a fight or anything like that. These two are fighting honestly, so there's none of the corrupt shenanigans going on this time. Just an honest longsword duel. And that's another double. And Luck gets a flag. Remember, Luck needs one more round to win the whole thing. That's another double. The pressure's on when you get these doubles. They really don't help anybody. They're just prolonging the fight. And so the pressure really is on Maestro because Luck is fighting so well that even if he gets a hit, it's often a double now. So Maestro has to lock in, especially being down a flag now. And you can see Maestro's trying to force the engagement. Nice sidestep, beautifully executed there, and a hit to the head. Anybody's game now. Good exchange between these two. Feint by Luck. Maestro doesn't bite. And the snap cut by Luck. He throws it right to the head after feinting. High guard cut by Maestro, but the hand is taken right off by Luck, and Luck takes it. GG. Nice try by Maestro, but the hand was popped right off, so there was nothing there. Respect the Izzy Mirror, and Luck keeps his Izzy Horseman of Death title. Yeah, the game's broken, Maestro, but that's kind of old news, I'm afraid, so it is what it is. But we're all playing the same game, so it is what it is. I do hope it'll get better, but USFC is a nice chill event to host, so I don't mind. And obviously when the game is at its best, it does look amazing still, so that's good. But when it doesn't, it looks pretty goofy. No question about that. Oak against the Beard now, because Oak is now around. And a Beer showed up right away. He's obviously eager for a fight himself. This will be another intense fight. Okay, a beer will start on the left and oak will be on the right. Oak has keyboard already. Good. Let's see. Gonna be another saber fight. But who's a beer gonna use is the question. Barabash sticking with his main. I think that's actually smart. Probably the best character a beer could use right now is Barabash. A beer, again, he's proven to be a very tough opponent for anybody, but he has to prove himself here against Oak now to see if he truly is USFC champion material. Oh, a pause. Okay, Oak is good to go. Hopefully that was just accidental. What? Somebody went back? What is going on? So it put you back, you spammed LG. I guess it's the same button on keyboard, I don't know. So Abir is having some internet issues, it looks like, but let's see. Everybody else so far, for the most part, it's been golden, so. Oh, I see Oak, that makes sense. Alright, Oak is good to go. Let's see what Abir can do. Oak is trying to snipe the hand, keeping his distance, but then he goes in for the attack. Abir with some side steps, and he scores the first flag. Nice hit by Abir, no kill. It's actually 1-1. But Oak was able to get back to guard in time. The nice sidestep though, Abir scoring a flag. Ooh, Oak tries to hit the head there, but not quite. It bounced off, mysteriously. But there's a double for his trouble. I think that's a good outcome for Oak. Double. Trying to sidestep and snap cut. Abir showing some advanced Barabash gameplay. Definitely knows what he's doing. With Barabash. I taught him some tricks, and then he sort of made his own style out of that, so. Oh, pause again. Yeah, some people have pretty terrible luck that way. They get matched up with veterans on the server. I remember that would happen with me against Warden all the time back in 2021. And I would get destroyed because at that time, Warden was like the best player on the server. So I definitely know how it feels. More pausing there by a beer. I assume it's a beer anyway. Yeah, Oak is good to go. Beer putting up a good fight, but Oak is, I think, proving to be just a little bit ahead in pace in these exchanges. He just has initiative on his side a little bit more, doing a great job of defending when a Beer mindlessly goes in for a cut. Definitely showing the experience advantage over a Beer here. Okay, Beer's good to go still, having long guarded. Snap cut to the head. Oak needs one more. And there's a kill for a Beer. And why by a Beer? Nice combination. A Beer is making a bit of a comeback. It's definitely not over this round. Yeah, he's still good to go. Maybe he had a brief pause or freeze there or something. But he's still good to go. He long guarded, so. Oh, they both hit each other in the head, but nobody died. I suppose that's fair. It would have been a double if it landed, so. But Oak is still able to take it. Very close match. A Beer holding up well, but Oak is just a little bit ahead. There's no way your screen froze for 20 seconds, a Beer. You were doing really well. And I'm not sure if there's another host available, unfortunately, because, like I said, Tao is taking a break. Normally he would be the go-to, but... Well, Maestro's from North America as well. That wouldn't really help. It seems to be your end, because everybody else is doing well, so... Yeah, it's not about ping, though, because the internet connection is pretty stable on my end, so it's whatever is going on your end is causing some problems. And like I said, you're only 2 flags behind, so you're doing pretty damn well. Hey, let's see what a Beer can do. Honestly, I'd be surprised if Maestro has the game installed as well. So even if he was available, I don't think he would want to host, so. But if he wants to, I won't say no if it does get worse. But I'm a little, forgive me for being a little bit skeptical, because if Beer is, although he's behind, he is holding up well against Oak. But sometimes it does help. Oak is actually right. It's funny how it sometimes works that way, but it's fine if it stutters a bit, though. If it clears up for the most part, you know, it's just the stuff we deal with on Parsec, and you gotta work through it. We had somebody from the Philippines win, so, and that's pretty far from Canada, especially Alberta, so if somebody can play from the Philippines, then, and not have too many, like, internet issues, I think it's a pretty good indication something's on a Beer's end, but who knows? There could be a lot of reasons for it. It actually doesn't necessarily to do with his internet. Sometimes Parsec just somewhere down the middle, like it's acting as the middleman and it's causing some kind of problem, I think, is what can happen. So it's like your connection with Parsec might be in the shitter, even though otherwise your internet should be fine. For something between the host and the player. Yeah, but Oak's showing good sportsmanship, just waiting till a beer long guards and is good to go. So until a beer stops long guarding to confirm he's good. Huh? Okay, we'll just test out your inputs and let me know when you're good to go. Yeah, you could just rejoin a beer. Like restart Parsec completely. Okay, the beer is back. I can also restart it on my end too, but it seems to be working fine for Oak, so I'm not sure if that would do anything. Okay, they're both good to go. A beer's long guarding, so I assume he's good. Okay, nice exchange. Oak a little bit ahead still, but a beer putting up a nice fight. Yeah, presses the attack. Yazuk is brutal with these sort of downward cuts that come in deep into your guard. It's very hard to defend against them if you're trying to cut back instead of just focusing on positioning to stop them. And a beer gets a nice snap cut hit. Yeah, that's one of the nice things about this game is that styles can vary across the same character. Despite on paper having the same tools, and it's 1-to-1. So a beer, I'm not saying he's not having any internet problems, but it's not so bad that he can't give Oak a really good fight. So we're gonna continue since Maestro is not available anyway. So let's see. Switch sides, 1-to-1. And what's a beer gonna use? Back to Barabash, or he looks like he's considering Isabella, or he's just not moving. Yeah, Barabash makes more sense there for sure. He's been doing fine with Barabash. Yeah, go ahead and select. Nice hit. Nice. Oak gets another hit. Oak dominating this round. That often happens, by the way. Definitely not something to be discouraged by. Somebody as good as Oak will find a slight weakness in your style and just begin exploiting it. Even at the top level, a really good player against a really good player, you can have situations where you're just being walked all over. But it's about how do you bounce back? Are you able to make a comeback or not? Is it just not your day? Beer definitely proving to be a force today, though, let that be known. Oak is having to lock in here to make his win convincing. Goes low, no kill. Chop attempt. As a Beer, again, tries to bring on the pressure. Sidestep is able to force a favorable trade. Good explosive movement there. And takes the hand right off. Getting down to the wire now as Beer is making yet another comeback. But this time Oak takes a hit to the body, but Oak was able to hit a more vulnerable target, so he did end up winning the trade. Both of these characters are very fast saber characters, and you can see that in action right there as Oak goes straight for the snap cut as Beer tried to sidestep. But despite Barbash's explosive sidesteps, Yazek is about just as explosive when he moves forward like that. So it proved to be a really good move. You can sidestep the snap cut sometimes if you get the timing right, but it's very difficult. It's mostly about reading your opponent versus reacting to your opponent. Regardless of ping, Yazek is just that fast when he goes in those sort of quick bursts of speed. I'd say overall Barbash is faster when it comes to movement, but Yazek does have those quick bursts of energy and his fast cuts to fall back on to keep up with Barbash really well. And also a better guard as well. Barbash's guard is fine, but it's not remarkable. It's about average. Yazek's, on the other hand, is pretty remarkable. Beer is able to stop that cut by hitting the arm first. So the blade bounces off after being dropped. Might scratch you a little bit, but otherwise not a big deal. Gotta have some force behind that cut. Okay, Beer might have a small freeze again, but it should resolve itself like usual. Nice hit to the hand. Upcut attempt, but there's a hit from Beer. And this would be pretty huge for Beer to actually make it 2-2 if he managed to win this. But Oak, on the other hand, is looking to win this whole round and the match. So, a lot at stake here for both of them. Beer, of course, wants to hang on to his streak as well. If he does not manage to do that, then he will not be able to challenge the champion. He'll have to wait some weeks to win some more fights and then get to that point. Ooh. That was a really close exchange. I thought somebody was going to get hit, but didn't happen. Goes low. Doesn't quite land it. Beer canceling the YY, which I think was wise. But actually, these upcuts were able to interrupt Oak. Good targeting of the opening, especially from left foot forward. The body was a good target to aim for. And that snap cut packs a lot of power. Yazek does a great job of generating power from there. Snap cuts, although they're fast, can actually be surprisingly powerful. Especially when you put the body behind them like Yazek does, which is something that Barbash doesn't really do. Hence the difference in power. But in doing so, Yazek moves farther forward, so sometimes he leaves himself open in ways that Barbash doesn't. Oh, yeah. But the cut comes in so fast that it's really hard to actually exploit that opening in time. Against an active Yazek, and Beer is sort of mindlessly moving forward there. If the YY, Oak instantly punishes that. Oak is very good at that. If you think you can sort of just walk all over him and get away with a mistake like that, you are in for a rude awakening. But Beer tightens up his gameplay and does hit the hand, so we're down to the last round. Yeah, it's a really nice matchup, actually. And this is one reason why I tend not to think Barbash is actually S tier. Is because Yazek against Barbash seems very fair. Unlike Yon versus Yazek, where I think Yon tends to win out. pretty decisively. Yeah, I can switch your name to Black in a bit, Luck. Probably after this fight. It's a pretty quick change. The USFC champion title is typically below veteran Hajuk, but it's a very, very easy change to make for our USFC champion, who will get a bit of special treatment in that regard, and will be allowed to have the Black name. For defending the Izzy Horseman of Death title, he also deserves some props, so I'm more than happy to do that for him. That's a privilege only USFC champions can have, and you have to hang on to that title to maintain it. Double. Yeah, Jan is the best rapier character. That's the secret. He outclasses Marie in every regard at range. Even Marta, arguably, he's better at range with, just because his cuts are also dangerous, not just his stabs. But Marta is not bad either. It's just Jan covers more of his bases than Marta. Less weaknesses to exploit. I thought Oak landed a hit there, but these force fields are becoming more and more common as this event goes on, it seems. But it's the game we play. Oh my, nobody got hit? What? Crazy. I thought that was a double. I thought that was Oak's hit. What is happening? Yazid's edge just not doing anything. A beer getting lucky. But that's what happens. Oak has... Oh my... What? Oak is hitting the head several times and nothing is happening. Crazy. Oak hits the... Oh my god, I was gonna say Oak hit the leg and nothing happened. He had to hit the leg again and double tap to actually get any damage registered. I don't know what is happening with this game. Oak misses the second cut somehow. I don't know how. Because again, it bounced off. That bounced off Barbash's head. What the fuck is happening? Again. Again. What the fuck? Oak is just landing hit after hit on the head, and nothing is happening. There's a hit that registered. Oak is, I guess, gonna have to really tighten up his game so that these hits that aren't landing are not gonna screw him. But a beer might take this. He got super lucky, but what can I say? This time it lands. That's what I'm talking about. In the same situation, Oak gets a hit this time that kills. That's the game we play, though. Oak has to tighten up his game, but the grab by a beer. Oh my god. Lucky, 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 but that is the game we play, I'm afraid. A beer takes it. Sorry, Oak. I don't know what to say. I saw you hit the head several times. That was ridiculous. And that's the sort of thing we're talking about, unfortunately, with this game. But it is what it is. You're not stuttering a beer. Oh my god. Anyway. Yeah, it's not even balanced. It's just Kupal's game is so messed up right now. It's nothing to do with Barabash. I've seen this with Isabella, Alexander, Yazik, Samuel. Name a character, I've seen it happen by now. There's just major issues with hit detection right now. That was insane. Oak was hitting him over and over again, making Bara's head a bobblehead, but nothing was happening. Alright, let's not dwell on that though. These things happen. We've got Tack back against Beanslayer now. Some new players will be fighting. Hopefully they're here. I see Beanslayer, but I don't see Tackback online. He could just be appearing offline, which happens. Nice. Beanslayer instantly joining the Parsec. No surprise. Just waiting for Tackback now. If Tackback doesn't come within 2 minutes, again, We can skip the fight, but actually I might allow Beanslayer to fight against Info. That might be the most efficient way to do this. We'll give Tack back some time, though, to join. Yeah, this is exactly why hosts are taking a break from the game. When stuff like this happens, it's not fun to play. Beanslayer disconnected. I'm not sure why. Yeah, a beer, like we're not even saying your internet's bad per se. What we're saying is your internet's having issues. It might be your ISP. Yeah, I don't know. Something's going on your end of beer, and I'm not saying it's your fault, but yeah, I'm just tabbed out, Bean Slayer. No worries. It looks like an error, so I don't blame you for assuming that it is. Kubo listening to complaints? Are you crazy? No, unfortunately he doesn't. That's a lot of the problem that people are having with the game right now. And I don't want to dwell on that too much because, as you guys have seen, when the game is at its best, it is truly an amazing game. The animations are nicely mocapped, and there's just all sorts of great stuff that goes on with the game. But by the same token, you can see the weaknesses of the game at play. Alright, sorry Bean Slayer, your opponent's not here. I think I'll just have you fight Info. Because I think Info's opponent will be away for a very long time. So I think the fairest way to do this, so you can stay in the Parsec. I'll just get Info to fight you. I think this will make the most sense. Yeah, because Info's opponent was having problems with like snowstorms and stuff like that, which were causing a bunch of internet problems. So that's still being fixed. If it's fixable at all at the moment, it likely isn't, to be honest. So we'll just do Info against Bean Slayer. And Tackback's not here, so we'll just skip that fight until he comes back and go to just that guy against First Saber after we've done Bean Slayer against Info. So Info will take the left side to start us off. Bean Slayer will take the right side. I'll set up the names. All right, let's get started. I'll make sure Info has keyboard and only keyboard because that's how her setup works. You cannot give controller at the same time. Info take the left side. Now Info is a Marie player, a very good one at that. She has put a ton of work into Marie, but unfortunately the current state of Marie, she's been having some trouble against the veterans, but maybe that experience will still allow for a win against Beanslayer. We'll see. I think Beanslayer is going to play Yendrick, which will be interesting, but I'm not sure. He was mentioning Yendrick. Uh, is Beanslayer not able to move? You can't move? Are you on keyboard or controller? Beanslayer. Are you on keyboard or controller though, Beanslayer? Keyboard. Okay. That might be why. Let's try this again. Strange though, because it looked like you selected somehow. But I gave you keyboard now, so you should be able to take the right side. Press 3 or something, I think it is, or 1 is it? 1 maybe? On the keypad? Yeah, Kubel, that I don't want to dwell on it too much, like I said, just have as much fun as we can with these events. At least the first fights didn't have a lot of that, but yeah, you can see it on full display when Oak was fighting a beer. But it is what it is. Yendrick doesn't have great defenses, so actually Info might have a chance here if she plays her distance game really well. It's a very interesting matchup that we don't see very often. So it actually is awkward for both of them, I think, to fight. Info playing it cautious, goes to the leg. Gotta be careful, those chops though, those cuts are not gonna do a lot of damage. Because the rapier is not really designed to cut with. Goes for a thrust, stops short though. Might have been actually a good idea, that chop was coming in hot. Both playing really cautiously, again, because they don't have much of a defense against each other's weapons. Once they The thrust comes in, Yendrick basically only has long guard. Maybe he can beat the blade, but it can be difficult. It's much easier to defend with a sword than it is an axe, at least in this game. There's ways you can use the Fokosh effectively to defend, but they're not represented super well. At least not at all times. There are some things he does, though, that actually would work really well and are realistic in his style. It is based on real Fokosh fencing, which is cool, but it is tough to make him work. Stab to the body. Info playing this with surgical precision so far. If there's any character Marie can beat, I'd say Yendrick's probably up there. So the matchup's really not so bad, despite Marie on paper being weaker. But if it becomes a brawl like that, Yendrick will win. You really don't want to get that close with a rapier against the Fokosh. Jump. Info cuts the leg, but again, the cut's just not doing a lot of damage. They do take out his mobility, though, so that can prove helpful for future attacks. Yeah, trying to beat the rapier aside, but Info knows all about that. You can see how practiced her Marie is. But there's a chop. Still, Beamslayer able to score some flags. It's definitely not one-sided. Although I do think Info is controlling the flow of the fight a bit better. Cut to the leg. Again, a cut to the leg. Info has to be careful, though. Those cuts to the leg aren't super threatening as far as damage. The triangle, though, beautiful move. Without long guard, Yendrick does have a hard time defending against those, so... Played well, Marie definitely does have a shot. Despite being weaker overall in most matchups. Yendrick actually does better in more matchups than Marie does, but... In this one, it's anybody's, truly. And gotta be careful making it a brawl, though, because those punches will come in. Info looking for a grab, actually. That would have been cool. Info's a master at landing grabs with Marie. Jump attack there continues with the combo. That's what you should do with Yendrick. Finding those opportunities to land those punch combos will take you pretty far, as they're pretty hard to escape from for any character, not just Marie. Ooh, no damage there. Now, sometimes, obviously, with Yendrick, that is happening because he's hitting with the half of the weapon, not the axe head, but that one I'm not so sure, to be honest. I think that one was hitting with the axe head, but I'm not sure. I'd have to play that one back, but regardless, Beamslayer doesn't have much to complain about because he did get the kill anyway. Info basically having to defend with distance here, as that axe will crush through her guard otherwise, like so. And actually, it's an even fight now. You can see the weaknesses of Marie at play here. Despite Yendrick's lack of defense, he sometimes is able to just overpower that rapier. Good exchange. Pairing with long guard. Good usage of that this time. Definitely crucial in this matchup. But a stab to the body. Good distance management by Info. And I like that both fighters are actually respecting each other's weapons. Even though on paper Marie is weaker once more, those stabs are still, if you run right into them, you're still at risk of being killed outright. It might be a bit of a gamble with Marie, but it's still very possible to get a kill. No rematch. We're switching sides. Oh, whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. Bean Slayer should be on the left now. Info on the right. Beautiful. Same characters as well. Yeah, very interesting matchup. And actually very tough for both of them. I'm definitely noticing Info is having to get quite creative, though, to ensure she does not end up brawling with Yendrik, which is a bad outcome for Marie in most matchups, but especially against the Yendrik, that is not good at all. Those cuts not hitting super hard, but they at least do take out mobility, so it can limit Yendrik's spacing game. There are some moves Yendrik could use here to try and close the distance faster, but you're essentially being limited to them, even if you find them. And Info knows about them by now, being an experienced player who has actually dabbled in Yendrik a little bit. And I love how Info is torturing her opponent before stabbing the body. She could have done that earlier, but was like, no, I'm gonna cut the leg a bunch of times first. It still worked out, though. Ooh, some taunting by both of them. But Info knows how to taunt as well. You don't want to mess with that. Opening the body right up. Marie's already pretty open to Yendrik's moves, though, to be honest, so. Okay. Is Bean Slayer having some lag, or what's going on? Info is still good to go. Hence the long guard. Long guard if you're good to go, by the way. That's the signal we use. Your attacks aren't registering. Hang on. You able to move now? Maybe try rejoining the parsec. That might help. Your mouse inputs. You only have keyboard. You don't need mouse. You have keyboard controls. Yeah, most people don't use mouse, and the reason why is because we don't want people who are connecting to other people's computers, you're sort of moving the mouse around, because that's like a safety issue. So we stick with keyboards. That's all you need. You actually don't need the mouse. There's buttons on the keyboard that you can use to attack with, just fine. Yeah, so don't use the mouse. You're not gonna get any inputs from the mouse. Alright. I'm glad that's what was going on and not like some kind of technical issue. They're both doing the same sort of taunt there. Trying to provoke each other. Info's an experienced opponent though. You gotta be very careful doing stuff like that. She's not gonna bite from non-threatening sort of... or not non-threatening looking positions that are clearly a bait. I still appreciate that Bean Slayer's trying that type of stuff. It's a bit more advanced, but advanced players know full well you don't really want to punish those too often because you will be punished yourself for trying. So Info's not going to bite. Unless she's absolutely sure there's some kind of opening that she can exploit quickly enough. It helps Info knows Marie's combos. Although there closes the distance just enough there. Nice by Bean Slayer, beating the blade and hitting the head. Nice hit. And a jump straight to the head. Marie just not able to block against these chops. They're tough for even like Saber characters to block against, for example. But Marie especially will have a lot of trouble. Nice usage of the dashes by Info, but only lands a cut, not a stab. which might have been a little bit of a mistake. Stab to the thigh there, almost the groin, but no kill. That is a dangerous place to be stabbed, by the way. In reality, there's a femoral artery right there. That can kill you pretty much instantly in practice. I think it's technically 30 seconds until you die, but like 30 seconds to a minute, but you'll be unconscious pretty fast. Like, that's not a good place to be hit. Especially with the state of medicine at that time. Even today, that's a pretty tragic place to be hit, to be honest. That could kill you outright. There's actually rapier scuffles and duels where maybe the combatants didn't intend to kill each other, but they went for the leg, and as a result, killed the person unintentionally aiming for the leg. And it's recorded in those instances that there's pretty much an instant kill. Somebody hit Shift Tab. Briefly entered Steam there. Don't know if you guys can see that on the stream actually, because the game window's ahead of everything else, but that is what briefly an info the axe bounced off the head. Oh my gosh. A little bit lucky there. I think there's some lag going on, so just long guard when you're good. Alright, beautiful. Yeah, these things happen. But as you can see, it happens with any character you can think of at random times. And there's the jump. Nice move there. 1-1 actually. Nicely played with Yendrick. Beanslayer coming to life, it looks like a little bit, which I think is what he needs to do. He needs to find those moments to just move in with the axe and go to town. Because Yendrick has offensive power, not defensive power. So you really have to lean into that, regardless of what the matchup is. Okay, switch sides again. Info will take the left. Beanslayer will be on the right. Don't know what's up with Info. Info going for a stab. Runs him right through. Nicely done. If Marie could do that more often and more reliably, because sometimes she'll hit the point and the game will count it as a graze, it'll do like partial damage. If Marie could do that more reliably though, she would be a strong character for sure. Because those stabs, when they do land perfectly, they are pretty nasty. Problem is they don't always land that way. Sometimes cuts just delete them. And the same is true for Yendrick. If Yendrick finds a moment to disrupt Marie's rhythm, then it can work pretty well. Stab to the hand this time. Stab right through the body once more. Perfectly aimed. Nice hit.
Hey! Ha!
Yendrick cheering there. Almost sounds like a psychotic child, but like in adult form. The way he talk, the way he not talks, but the way he like cheers after he chops somebody up. Kind of scary stuff, actually. I won't lie. Chop attempt. Nice, parrying the dash in there. And Info waits out that feint really nicely to get a stab to the arm, but it grazes there. No kill shot this time. Then a stab to the body. That chop was a little bit slow. Thankfully for Info, no double. That could have easily been a double. But the timing just wasn't there for Yendrick. Jump, and then, yeah, you just go through the combo, and Marie is in trouble. A lot of characters in that situation are in trouble, to be fair, but Marie especially, if that long rapier does not want to be at that range. Beamslayer's not doing too bad against such a good opponent as Info. Make no mistake, the character might not be optimal, but the skill on display by Info is definitely there. Playing his heavily is outrating. Yeah, Yendrick is definitely one of the more evil characters, I would say. If we're talking about like the most evil character on the roster, he's definitely up there. Okay, we're gonna switch sides again. Info takes it, making it 2-1. Oh, of course, yeah, he's a character who's loved by many, but nevertheless, definitely not the most moral of characters. That was a nice combo by Info, it has to be said. Beat the Axe's side a little bit with that cut, landed hit to the arm, and then, although the thrust looked kind of wavy, it still hit the arm and finished him right
Hey!
off.
Ha!
It's nicely done. High guard there. Holds high guard. Although it does present an opening, it is a pretty threatening chop that you have to deal with. That was nice movement by Info to get out of the way. And I like what Info's doing, just playing it simple, letting Yendrick whiff instead of opposing the axe too much, and then running him through. That's how you gotta play this matchup. Especially if a long rapier like that. Showing masterful use of Marie. And goes for a grab. Info's brave like that. She will sometimes try to grab you. But good grab defense by Beamslayer. Love the dash back and forth to confuse him too. Ooh, and Info makes a bit of a mistake there. A little too overzealous on the dashing in. Getting into Beamslayer's effective range and losing. Still pretty close. Info still ahead though. If Info wins another one, it's over for Beamslayer. Goes low, blocked. Nice usage of long guard. Nice, hit the top of the axe there, which actually makes sense that I would block that, because that is how you defend with the Fokush. If you watch Russ's videos, that is what you do. You use the top of the axe head to parry the sword. You don't use the half of the axe head because that puts your hands at risk. So he's using the axe head exactly how you would want to use it in this sort of a fight. You can use it to oppose cuts, not just stabs. And it makes sense too, that's where all your weight is, right? So you have the... If you use it just right, you have the most leverage there too. Oh, that was a bit of a slow move, but it actually worked out nicely. Info was caught flat-footed there. Chop just out of measure. Info was able to parry a bit of that too by moving back to where her body wasn't in danger. The triangle, but from too close, and there's a nice punishment. Still a great try by Info. That would have been a decisive hit, I think, if it landed. But a little bit too close. Low cuts there, trying to provoke something from Yendrick. Hits the leg this time. No kill. Unsurprisingly. But it gets some chip damage in there. It makes it harder for him to move. It's definitely not a fun time for the opponent regardless. But yeah, that's what you gotta do with Yendrick. You just gotta go in. Your leg might be in some pain, but at the end of the day, it's on you to close the distance. You've got the axe, so I like that Beanslayer found some courage and went for it. That was a little bit reckless, but that's what you have to do, I find. Mix in some long guard, of course, to block the stabs. You don't want to be like overly aggressive, otherwise Marie will just let you whiff and you'll pay for that, but you got to find that balance. At some point, you just got to start firing some attacks off and just seeing what they can do. Ooh, nice exchange actually between these two, but Info is able to eat that attack with the hilt of her rapier. Most of the hand protection is, and stab. It would definitely rattle your hand, but it wouldn't kill you, so. Meanwhile, the running through the body, that probably would. And nice usage of the jump, landing on Info. It's actually 2-2. This fight will decide it. Okay, switch sides again. Info on the left, Beamslayer on the right. This is the last round, no matter what happens. Both are sticking to their chosen characters, which makes sense. They're both doing pretty well. Good exchange between these two. Beamslayer, though, a little bit ahead now this round, which could prove decisive. All it takes is a little bit of chaos from Yendrick. And Marie's life becomes that much harder. Jump. There's a stab. Info grabs, though. That was not the play, I don't think, because Beamslayer was backing up anyway. But that would have been beautiful if it landed. Info's actually really struggling to land those grabs. She's usually famed for landing them against even the best players, but Beamslayer has really good instincts to back away as soon as stuff like that happens, so it becomes impossible to land it. For a chop, there's a stab to the body. Actually, a really intense fight. And you can see kind of what I mean about Yendrick being a bit stronger than Marie in certain regards, but Info's still doing a great job with the distance game. Ooh, triangle out of measure, but Info with a quick stab to the arm, still managing to take it there. Quite a few twists that round, but Info gets it in the end. Trying to stab through the long guard. There's the jump, and I'm not sure if that hit or not, to be honest. I'm pretty sure that hit. I'm like 95% sure that hit. But I don't know, maybe the guard blocked some of that. I still think that should have stunned Marie at least, but I don't know. I don't know. Info's still ahead though. I mean, again, I'm glad a lot of these are not really like influencing the fight too much. It's just the Oak versus a Beer one that really, I think, was causing issues. The trend this round is that overall is that Info is ahead. So yeah, no, it does suck though when you're the one throwing the attack and then the attack goes into the void somewhere. But what can you do? It's up to Kubel to look at those and fix it. High guard there by Beast Slayer. Has to find a moment to just go in, but it's tough because he knows if Info throws one stab, especially in that guard he's in right now, like it could be over. Maybe he's waiting for an opportunity. But Info's doing much the same thing, so it's a bit of a game of chicken. And very, very intense game of chicken, though. Like one little mistake and it'll be over for either of them. This flag. And I appreciate that the Bean Slayer is not just throwing it away. At the same time, I think he does have to find an opportunity to just go. And if he doesn't find it, I think Info is actually going to take that opportunity from him, especially being up flags. She can get away with a little bit more risky gameplay on paper. The punch actually disrupting Yendrick's punch combination. Marie can throw punches too. It does not kill though. Marie really does not want to be that close, but really good by Info to stay alive there when usually Yendrick will just dominate. A similar combo from Yendrick would have killed outright, of course, though, because it is a close-range weapon. Info getting a slight hit. That was a graze. It made sense that it didn't quite kill. But still, this chip damage over time, maybe it'll make a difference, especially if stamina. Info with a lot of side steps. It's actually a good idea against Yendrick. Be tough to deal with when you're trying to go for a straightforward high guard chop. Beats the blade, but is not able to close in. He's got to find an opportunity to attack the person and not just the blade. There's another hit by Info. Very tight game. It's very, very tough, actually, for Beast Slayer to close in. That's why he's hesitating, but I think it's he's sort of more and more in the palm of Info's hand because of that. Very good effort by Beast Slayer, but Info does take it in the end, unsurprisingly. That sequence there, I think Info is just ahead the whole time. Okay, Tackback I have heard nothing from, so I'm going to assume he's just a no-show until he replies to my ping. We've got just that guy against First Saber now. I don't know if the hats are part of it, to be honest. They could well be the hit detection nonsense, but they shouldn't be causing any problems. There's no like armor or thick clothing mechanic in this game, at least for the regular versus fights. But nevertheless, they could be causing issues with like the hitbox or something. Who knows? It's actually a fair question because there are games sometimes where the headgear actually will influence the hit detection. So, okay. I've pinged the next fighters up. First Saber and just that guy. We'll give them about 2 minutes to join. I'm not sure if they're around. I don't see First Saber at all. Just that guy is idle, but he might be around. Yeah, Beanslayer did a great job with Yendrick. I know I was going on about, oh, Marie is weak, this and that, but Info is also like very, very experienced with the game and has experienced that matchup a lot. It's still not an easy game for Yendrick to deal with because his defenses are inherently weak. So to put up that great of a fight against Info is not easy, especially with that particular character. That's not a character I would want to use against Marie personally. So you're not fighting right now, Info. Okay, looks like first Saber is here. Info's trying to connect for some reason. I don't know why. You're not, you already finished your fight, Info. Not hearing anything from just that guy. But first Saber is here. He's just not connecting the parsec for some mysterious reason. What? Info, you're not playing. Yeah, don't you, if you're trying to connect through Steam, that's not gonna work. You'd need an invite through Steam for starters. Yeah, it actually was a cinematic. He's connecting from your PC. Okay. Interesting. Okay, regardless, your opponent is not here. Just that guy is not here. So I guess Dauntless is here. I don't know about Pikachu. I'll just check if Pikachu's here, and if not, we will just have you fight Dauntless, I guess. And if Pikachu's not here, we'll just wrap it up after that. Because there's no point in waiting any longer. We don't have any other fights we can do, so. Give Pikachu a little bit to respond, but a minute or so. Pikachu should be pretty much ready to go by now, so. And Pikachu has a history of sometimes just mysteriously disappearing, so that's the other reason I'm trying to get this out of the way. If Pikachu's not here, probably won't be here for a while, so. Not to hate on the guy though, he's a great player, but especially a great Tekken player, by the way. But his habit of disappearing is a little concerning. All right, Dauntless was here from what I saw. Okay, and I'll edit the fight card to reflect that, because we have a bunch of fights we're just canceling, it looks like. There. Keyboard, alright. Thanks for letting me know. Do you need keyboard first, Saber? Just double check with him real quick. Max, okay. Okay. Dauntless take the left side. Max will take the right. That's what he wants me to call him, so I'll just put Max here in the names, and we can get started. I was tabbed out for a bit, but you should be able to see the game now. Just make sure you click on the screen as well. That's another thing that can happen if you are not taking control for some reason. Try clicking the screen, then pressing buttons, see if that fixes it, if you're not able to move. Uh, Dauntless seems like you can't move. Okay, and first, Saber, aka Max. I'll call you Max. Take the right side, please. Said he has keyboard. And it's a Yazuk mirror. Interesting. Dauntless wasn't playing Yazuk earlier, so I'm not surprised by that. But I haven't seen Max play, so really curious how that'll go. I'll just be right back. You guys can carry on fighting. Make sure you switch sides if I'm not here right away. But otherwise, you can just continue.
Moje. 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 Moje.
Okay, I'm back. So far, a pretty close saber fight between these two, both going with Yazuk. No idea who's going to win this one. Dauntless is probably a little bit more experienced, but they're both relatively new to the game, from my understanding. Dash is in there. Not quite getting a hit. What I will say, too, is I know I mentioned issues with the game and all the rest of it. I find when the characters are mirrored, that's usually where you get the best fights, because they all have the same tools, and it's like...
Moje.
Most of the time when something goes wrong, it's kind of on you because you have the same tools, but it depends. So like this Yazuk on Yazuk fight is actually looking pretty clean right now.
Moje.
But Dauntless is able to find an advantage there, making it 1-0. Max, switch sides. You're on the left now. Dauntless will be on the right. I'm just switching the names, so tabbed out for now, then you can switch. Max, go ahead and take left. Here we are. Maybe we'll see a character switch. Or are they gonna... No, they're gonna stick with Yazuk. Hopefully I have the names correctly. We've had some players not switching sides in a previous fight, so it made it a little bit confusing, but I think I've got them right. Just let me know if you guys didn't switch sides. It's not that big of a deal, but it is preferable if you do switch. And there's a flag for Max. Nice hit. And then an upcut. Dauntless taking a flag. Beats the blade, but not able to follow it up, it looks like. Yazuk comes back to guard pretty quickly, so it can be very tough to do that, actually. Not only are his cuts fast, but his riposte speed after a parry is fast, and his ability to go back to guard against your riposte is also very fast. So a lot of his precise blade actions are very quick. Especially when you've mastered his moveset, you know which cuts to use to hit the hand, which cuts to snap cut with, and these types of things. If you're really good with Yazuk, you can use his single tempo attacks as well to really throw people off. You can like insert a thrust in the middle of somebody's attack, catch it, and then hit the face, or all these sorts of other stuff. He has a lot of tools at his disposal. Yeah, so Clemino says he might actually be able to announce on March the 14th. That'd be cool. So just feel free to let me know if that day comes and I forget, and you can just come join the commentator cabin and say your piece, because we're missing Piper right now. Piper usually is the guy who comes in and does that, but you might see a bit of his performance in the Two Strikes event, though, because he and some of the other veteran Hellish Quart players are over there doing stuff, so. And my understanding is they're doing kind of an offshoot USFC event for that game, so might be worth having a look. Another even round. They're both playing this pretty well. Dauntless is looking for that clean punish, but does take a hit. And there you go, Dauntless able to get an advantage. Let's see if the trend continues and Dauntless gets some back-to-back flags to secure the round again. Ooh, nice. So he tried to parry that riposte there, but Max picked a really tough angle to defend, it looks like. And he wasn't quite able to bring the sword in the right spot. Which can happen. Sometimes the auto guard will get overwhelmed, depending on the situation. Ooh, did a taunt there, but was called out immediately. That was good by Dauntless. Taunting in measure is very risky for that reason. It's better done out of measure. Stab through the neck there. And that's another victory for Dauntless. One more needed, and this fight and the event might be concluded at that point. But Max has been doing pretty well too. For a novice, it has to be said. Dauntless just seems to be that little bit more experienced, and that's just making a slight difference. Dauntless will be left this time. Max on the right. Okay, Yendrick now. Inspired by some of the Yendrick play we saw, this could either end up an easier fight for Yazik, or it could actually become harder because that axe hits like a truck. Yendrick has some weaknesses, but you have to mind the fact that your auto guard might not stand up to that weapon very well. That was a nice hook of the sword, which is something Yendrick can do with his axe, but it is tough to pull off. And now he's tired. There's the chance. Yep. Takes it. Very good spacing by Dauntless. You really have to space Yendrick to make sure you're not hit by that axe head. I think Max was just a little bit too slow on the follow-up to that hook. It's also, again, like I said, a tough move to pull off. So it is what it is. Good sidestep. Very good idea against Yendrick to get off-center as well. To land a hit of your own and get out of the way of that chop. Yendrick has ways to try and counter that, but that's up to Max to figure out what the correct move is. This time, Max definitely hit with the haft. So sometimes that will stun you, and sometimes that won't. It's not ideal to hit the haft. You really want to hit the axe head, and that's one of the tough things to manage with Yendrick as well, is to make sure that axe head is hitting as much as possible. And that just comes with experience. Often he can just brute force his way through anyway, but can be difficult. The high guard was beautifully countered, moved off to the side, and got close enough to where the axe head probably was not going to land anyway. But eating that to the head still would have sucked, so it was good to move around like that. Max does score a hit, but there's a hit to the head. One more needed for Dauntless to secure a convincing win. And you can kind of see why many people regard Yendrick as a little bit weak. It's like he doesn't really have much once his offense is stopped or avoided at the very least. Oh, he didn't counter quickly enough there. He had a kill shot lined up there if he continued that punch combo, but he didn't. And again, that's just an experience thing. You learn as you play Yendrick. You just press X again and again until you get the kill when you get the elbow like that. The strike with a haft like that. All you gotta do is keep pressing the attack button and you will get the kill, but was a little bit too slow, and Dauntless is able to take it. Still a good fight, especially the Yazuk mirror was very good. And with that, I think I'll end the event because I don't see any of the other fighters. They haven't even responded, so I don't have any reason to assume they're here. So I'll just delete those fights off the fight card and record the ones that actually did happen. Okay, so GG's everyone. Great event. Obviously, there were some issues. Some fights had more bugs than others, and that's just the unfortunate state of the game. But hopefully, you can see when the game's at its best, it actually is great. But when it's not, you get some strange ragdoll stuff going on. But that's just how it is. It is early access too, but the game used to be better. So hopefully, it will get better soon. And with that, GG's everybody, and I'll see you next time.